Hi Ed,
Hello.
how are
Afternoon.
you?
How you doing?
Hi. Good. Thank you very much. Yep.
Good.
Bit of a crazy morning, as they tend to be pretty much every day these days
Oh, no.
in general practice. But yeah, no, not too bad. I'm hoping a couple of colleagues are going to join. I think I'll let you know. One is our senior partner, Dr. Rhodes, who's kind of leading on online consultations along with myself at our practice. Plus, we have had a colleague, another GP at another local practice, who may be joining us as well, who's potentially interested as well. So
Yeah, good to hear. Fine.
yeah, be interested to see what you can show us, basically. So hopefully they'll be along in a moment. They're usually reasonably prompt.
Do you use anything currently for an online
Well,
consultation service?
So we, as Nottinghamshire, initially, just before the pandemic, got PKB for everybody. We started to pilot it, but then the pandemic happened and everything just kind of went on hold. And then since then, really, we then became aware that other players were available, like yourselves, and so we thought, well, we really should have a look around, see what options are out there, see what you can offer, see if it fits in a little bit better than PKB may or may not. And so that's kind of where we're up to, really. We're just looking at our options. We're looking at a couple of other people and see what fits best with our vision, really. So we're not necessarily tied to PKB as it stands. I don't believe we are. I think we're I'm just trying to get confirmation that we do have the funding for us to go elsewhere.
Yeah.
We've yet to have that 100% confirmed. I had an email this morning even saying that the person sort of dealing with that's on holiday for a week, but she's hoping to have an answer shortly after she gets back. So yeah. But I don't imagine you've got any practices in the Nottinghamshire area, presumably, because they're either PKB or nothing at the moment. Would that be true?
Let me have a look. I don't think so, to be honest. No, it doesn't look like it.
No.
We might have the odd one, but yeah, not many.
I'd be amazed if there were any at all, to be honest. We were kind of told at the time it's PKB or nothing.
Yeah.
But then, like I say, everything just went up in the air with the pandemic, and I don't know really where practice I think some have kind of ploughed on with that, and others have put things on hold a little bit like we did, really, to be honest. Just till we got a better idea of what we contractually had to do and provide. We were also in the process of upgrading our website. So our website, we don't have like mysurgerywebsite.com type people doing it. We've done it entirely ourselves. Well, I say ourselves. I've done it myself entirely. I'm by no stretch a web developer. It does look very amateurish, and we're looking to have it changed. We've got a proper web developer on it this summer. And so again, where we have to have links to the online consultations and all that sort of stuff, that's where we'll be looking at, again, how your product would fit in with being visible on our website and where it would go and how it appears and stuff like that. Okay. So I'm interested to hear that sort of side of things as well.
Yeah, we have lots of examples we can show you of that as well, how the practices have obviously popped it on the website, things they've done to obviously increase engagement with patients.
Yes. Just while we're waiting, actually, I hope I didn't delete it last night. I had a list of I think I deleted it. The list of kind of the key criteria for what we're looking for from your software. From memory, let me just see if I can remember it. There was the ability, the flexibility to turn it off and on in terms of when patients can contact us, because it is supposed to be for routine, not for urgent stuff. Because I think one of the other companies that were looking at one point, I think there was a kind of an expectation that we responded within 24 hours, which to us was like, well, it's routine. We shouldn't be expected. There should not be the expectation set that we would respond within 24 hours. So we were, looking to make sure we could switch it on and off between certain hours. We could have key expectations and messages that we had control over, so that patients would see that. when they tried to do it. I mean, don't get me wrong, you know, as a patient, my practice has like an online form that I can fill in, and I think it's fab. It's so much easier for me to do that than to ring the practice or whatever. So I can absolutely see it from that perspective, but equally, as a practice, it's got to work for us.
Definitely,
It's got to fit in with our way of working, so that you know, it does genuinely, at worst, break even time wise. You know, it doesn't create more work for us than it saves. So at worst it should be, you know, no different, but at best we'd love it to stop phone calls coming in and allow patients to self-manage perhaps a little bit more if there's sort of signposting that's part of the product, or you know, what options are around that, and that the process when it comes into the system, so we that it's easily moved around the practice and how that happens. So for example, I know one of your competitors, it arrives as a kind of like a document to us as a letter, which we can then integrate into our clinical system. But to me, that wasn't ideal, if I'm honest. We'd prefer it to come in almost like a task, or straight into the kind of tab journal, but with a notification that we can then pass around internally within the practice rather than a sort of a separate document. I don't know. If that's how it works for you with a letter, maybe you can persuade us that that's the best way to do it with you know, testimonials and stuff. We're open to ideas and suggestions, but certainly close integration into our clinical system is another key factor, because I think with PKB it's not integrated at all.
Isn't it?
As far as I know, or at least certainly wasn't a couple of years ago, and I don't think it's changed since. It's just, you know, it's just a portal that we exchange messages in, and if we want to then integrate it into System 1, we have to kind of like cut and paste.
It's not efficient, really, is it?
Which was less than ideal. And I think their sell was that, you know, the patients could use that portal as a place to store additional health information and stuff like that, which is all about self-management of conditions. And again, we're all for the self-management of conditions. Anything that means less work for our staff, frankly, is so much the better, and more the patients can take control of it themselves. But again, it was in their portal, and none of that information would come into System 1. So again, you know, but that's kind of a slightly separate, I suppose. But yeah. Well, let me just sorry, just before you start, I'm just going to see if I can get hold of see if this, certainly our GP is planning on joining us, because I don't want to go too far if she is hoping to. Let me just send her a quick screen message. Would you bear with me a second?
Yeah, no problem.
Bear with me. Okay. Let me just double check I did forward her the link as well, because I think I just took your calendar invitation and just forwarded it to her.
Yeah, I saw there was one person invited on there. I think. Have a look.
Can you see if anybody else has accepted it? Because I think you're the ones that are in control of it. I think if you did use it. I don't know if I can tracking. Let's have a look. No, you can only see me on it. So
so I can see Katie Rhodes.
Oh, and she's accepted it, has she?
It says she's free. It doesn't tell me if she's accepted it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, she's.
Oh no, she has accepted. Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. So I've just sent her a screen message, which I'm hoping she'll pick up, and she might join us, because she's yeah, very keen to know what can be offered, and she's probably got a better idea kind of what's useful clinically from online consultations than me as just a sort of an IT sort of side of things. Actually, yeah, I probably should explain that my role in the practice is as one of the managers. We have two managers, one who does the more sort of finances and premises and staff type stuff. I do more sort of the technical side of things. So it's kind of like an IT manager, but I also do research and other stuff like that. So when it comes to the sort of digital solutions that we're looking at for all sorts of different areas, as we do now, that's kind of my role in the practice. We've got 2 sites, 14 GPs, 15,000 patients. We are CQC rated outstanding, expecting another visit soon, hoping to retain that. So we're trying to do everything we can to the benefit of our patients. They are our total focus. So, you know, we're not Luddites. You know, we do want to pick up new digital solutions to things, but as I've said already, it has to work for us as well. Otherwise, it just makes life difficult for everybody, which you know, isn't ideal. So yeah, I'm sorry, she's not joined us yet. Is there anything?
That's fine.
I don't want to waste your time, but have you got any questions, perhaps, while we wait?
I'll just butt in there quickly, just to introduce myself. My name is Jamie. I'm the Business Development Manager here at Engage. I'm new to the consult side of things, and Anna kindly demoed one for me a few days ago. Mm-hmm. And echoing what you said already, I think it's going to be tailor-made for exactly what you're after. Mm-hmm. At least from what she showed me, it's going to make things streamlined and so much more manageable. For your day-to-days.
Mm-hmm. Brilliant.
Yeah, definitely.
Well,
and we get really good patient feedback as well on the system. Obviously, they're not having to wait on the phone, you know, waiting 10 minutes to get through. Instead, they're filling in the IMH questionnaire, and then that doctor's got that information, or whoever's dealing with that has got that information to then triage them effectively. But yeah, to be honest, everything you've wanting is what we can offer you. So
okay. I think you made a really good point with the website, because you know, if you've got the software there, it still needs to be signposted to the right people to get to use it. So that's another really important part. Having that posted up there is going to amplify it, of course.
And so on the website, I mean, we're probably starting to move into the more what it looks like and stuff, but on our website, or on a practice website, we can signpost and everything, but is it just a link? Click here if you would like to initiate a consult, you know, what's the effect of initiate a consultation with a routine consultation with a GP, and then they click on it, and then it takes it to your interface, does it, basically?
Yeah, so we offer a banner, or we do have a pop-up link you can use, or obviously you can use your own. It's completely up to you. But yeah, it just links to your own portal, and then when they click onto it, it will say your practice name at the top.
Well, I'll tell you what, I've just had a reply. She's just got stuck in stuff, so she says just plow on. I'll catch up with her afterwards.
We are recording it as well, Ed, so
okay,
back then.
Yeah, okay, no, that'd be really handy, actually. Yeah, if we could have perhaps a copy of the recording, certainly of the key demonstration bits of it and everything, that'd be really useful. So yeah, let's plow on then, and the other GP might or might not join us from the other practice. We leave that up to her. Brilliant. So lovely.
So if you have any questions as I go through, please do ask them. So just to give you a bit of context around Engage Consult, there's kind of 3 sides to it as such. So you have the admin portal, which I'm on now, which is my.engage.gp. So this is where you can really hone in and personalise it to your practice. So we have the demand management settings, adding your staff, adding different groups and your links and your reports. Then we have the patient interface. So this is what the patient would see. And this is obviously where they'd submit their request. And then we have the engaged client, which is where the requests come into for you as a practice to deal with them. Mm-hmm. So that's the 3 sides VC, but just to give you a bit of idea. So obviously you've said about you want to be able to turn it on and off, really sort of look at those demand settings, how many requests you've got coming through, which you can do all on my.engage.gp. So what we do is we give you the option to change your messages, what is shown to users. So for example, if they've sent a request within your service hours set, they'll see this message here, which is just free text, so you can change it to your practice. So, you know, you may respond within 4 working hours, the next working day.
Great.
You can pop in the message you want them to see when they submit those requests. The same if they wanted to, so you can choose if they submit requests outside of your service hours as well. And if they do, they'll be told, you know, this, you won't get seen till the next day. Are you sure you still want to submit this request?
Mhm.
And then you get the same for the emails to users. So once they've submitted that request, they'll get an email as well, just to confirm they've submitted that request and, you know, when they're going to be getting a response. So again, you can change that for outside and within service hours. So you can definitely get that message across to the patient when you'll be in contact with them. Because if not, I find if they don't know when they're going to be back in contact with you, they're going to probably just call you and try a different method to get in contact with you. And then the demand management settings, so you can change the time for each day. So you can change the start and the finish time, and you can also add a medical and admin request limit there. So like for this one, we've popped on a Monday, we can deal with 20 medical requests and 30 admin. So when we reach that point, where if a patient then tried to submit a request, they'd be shown a message to say, we've reached the number of consultations we can take for the day.
So my pen's run out. Sorry.
No, you're all right.
Just making some notes and realised I couldn't read anything.
So you can really, you know, personalise it to your practice. On an admin request, you might want no limit, because obviously normally it doesn't matter if they've taken, you know, 3 to 4 working days to deal with if they're just routine. So you can choose that depending on how you get on, how many staff members you have in. You can obviously also put yourself as closed on weekends, and if there's a bank holiday, you would just come in here and change your hours. So you can change this at any time, and when you click save, it updates it straight away.
Okay.
And as I say, if you want to allow them to send requests outside of service hours, you can toggle that on and off as well. So it's completely down to you as a practice. One thing you may be interested in as well is you can add available staff, but for yourself having 2 practices, if you want them to select what practice they're from, instead you could change it to your practices' names. So when that then comes through, that will tell you Anna Baxter has requested this surgery, or Anna Baxter has requested that surgery, so you can do that as well. So
yeah, so but our patients are with the 2 sites do operate very independently. Patients that will only tend to be seen in the one or the other, depending on where they live. The kind of you know, it's a single boundary, but you know, if the patient kind of lives in this half of the boundary, they will be seen at that surgery and vice versa. So is this where you would make it? Well, I mean, I suppose it doesn't really matter as long as we know who the patient is. We can decide who deals with it.
So on system 1, are all your patients are they in separate instances and such, or are they all together? All
together in one unit.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So
with 2 branches basically. So I don't think we'd need to put it. I think we wouldn't need to put the branch site down there. Thinking about it. Because we would know and they would know where they're being seen anyway.
Yeah, so that's completely down to you.
No, it's good to have the flexibility there.
And then you can add different groups as well. So for example, if you've got an administration team, maybe a diabetes team, GPs, you can add those groups in, and then what your colleagues will do is cover those relevant groups to see the request in that group for them to deal with.
So in terms of when a message comes in, how does it get decided as to which group that message gets sent to? Is it the patient, or is it the person initially triaging it in admin or whatever?
So it'll be either the patient, the person triaging it, or we do have a feature called intelligent routing. So for example, if a patient types in diabetes, you can route that diabetes request straight to the diabetes team.
Okay.
Or if it's an administration request, they can go straight to the admin group.
But normally, basically, the workflow would be patient types in message, message arrives in a sort of just a single inbox, admin staff triage it, thinking, right, who needs to get this message, and they can either send it to an individual or they can send it to a group that we've set up.
Yeah.
And they then have an inbox. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and they can then deal with that request. So obviously there's a lot more on here you can do, but that's the kind of main ones from what you've wanting so far. And obviously if you did come with Engage Consult, we take you through all the settings and make sure it's set up right for your practice. So just to show you what a patient would do, because I always find it's handy to actually know what they go through to submit that request. So they can use the NHS login, so that's a really good feature. So they can just use their NHS app and send through requests. We have the option.
Right. So sorry, yes. So they've got the app open in front of them, and there'll be a little thing somewhere at the bottom that says consult with your GP, or something like that. Well, you click on that, and it'll take you into the bit after this little bit here. Then basically,
so it keeps you in the NHS app.
Yeah.
But it's the same kind of thing. How I'll show you now that we go through. Obviously, this is on the Engage website.
Yes, of course.
But,
yeah.
So yeah, they can have accounts, go through the NHS app or be a guest account. So again, that's down to your practice, which accounts you want your patients to have access to. So I've obviously got an account, so I'll log in.
So sorry, yes, if they're not doing it through the NHS app, but they're doing it from a link on our practice website, they will just on the very first occasion have to create an account to be able to use the service.
Or they can be a guest user.
Or they can be a guest, you said, yes, sorry. Yeah.
For you as a practice though, it's more beneficial if they've got an account.
Yeah.
Because once you've verified that patient in your clinical system, you won't have to keep doing it again. So it just saves you admin time, which I'll show you in a moment.
Right. Okay.
Another good feature we've got is obviously I can access this for myself, but they can also add their children. So they can add their dependencies, but also I don't know if you've got many local care homes in your area.
Yeah.
So care homes can actually sign up as a patient.
Okay.
And what they would do is they'd sign up as their care home and then add their residents as dependencies. So you can have carers here as well. And then submit the request that way. And we just find for you as a practice, it'll be a lot easier to keep control of those care home requests because I know there is a lot that comes through.
Yes.
And it's easier for the care home as well, to be honest, because they don't have to wait on the phone. We can even do an embedded link for them so they can send requests throughout any time of the day if that's what you wanted as a practice. So there's different things we can do to help with that as well.
Okay, yeah, that's where not being a clinician, that could be either a nightmare or it could be brilliant. I don't know.
we've had actually, I can send you over actually a case study. We've had, I don't know if you get any help from your PCN or anything like that, but there's one that's introduced a care home team and they actually take the care home requests from the practices. But even if you didn't have that help, just instead of obviously having all these care home requests come in, through different phone calls, just to have them in one system to be able to reply to them, it's a lot easier to manage. But I can send you over the case study because they're getting on really well with it and they find it a lot easier to manage. Yeah,
no, we have to do it as a practice, but yeah, we don't really get any help from the PCN in that way anyway.
No. So they'll select who they want help for, and then these buttons are all, again, you can personalize to your practice. So this is a really good way to signpost them off to other areas if they don't necessarily need to submit a request.
And so just to double check whether they now are in the NHS app or they've logged in through the web interface, this is what they're going to see.
This is just from the Engage side, so not in the NHS app.
But yeah, but once you access it from the NHS app, isn't this what you get put through to?
So if they sign in using their NHS login details on this link, they'll see this. But if they're actually in the NHS app,
yeah,
they'll just be able to request help from the surgery.
Oh, so it doesn't do all of this stuff?
No, because in the NHS app, obviously you've got all the self-help information anyway.
Right.
So yeah, so if they, let me get the portal up.
Sorry.
You're right. If I just sign out, I'll show you the.
Would just be interested because 50% of our patients have got the NHS app, and so they're more likely, and if they're that tech savvy that they want to do an online consultation, they're going to have the NHS app, and so that's probably more likely the route they're going to go down. So I want to sort of see or be able to get a feel for what they're going to get when they try and do this through the NHS app.
Yeah, I think I've got a video of someone logging in using the NHS app, so I'll try find that and I'll send that over to you so you can have a look.
That'd be really good, because if it's going to be kind of like I mean, what you were about to show me there looked really good, and I'm thinking that's kind of what I would hope they could, at least in some shape or form, get through the NHS app. Because obviously, like you say, NHS app does have its own separate signposting stuff, so that's fine. But it's like, how similar is your bit of it? When they go through the NHS app.
I'll get the I'll try find that video or some screenshots, and I'll get them sent over to you.
Thank you.
So this is what the actual patient portal looks like. So these are the buttons you can add in, which is the same as that other page I was just on, but that's when they've logged into their account. So for example, on this one, we've got the self-referral to MSK Physio Service. They can obviously request help from surgery. We've got the local pharmacy. So if you've got any sort of local organisations, you can add a link to. So it's just a web link. Do you use System Online at all?
Yeah, yeah.
So you could add a link for that. So, you know, change your appointment here, or access your repeat prescription, things like that.
Well, again, yeah. So with the NHS app, you can do all of that through there, you see.
Yeah. So you can add as many as you like to obviously help the patient choose the best option for them. And a lot of practices will put request help from surgery at the bottom. So the patient has to read through all the options and then, you know, if necessarily, obviously submit that request through to the surgery.
Yeah, so it's kind of like, you know, you have to wade through all that stuff first, which is hopefully, well, some people be diverted by that, but I know sometimes temptation when like you get all those, you know, when you look it up, all you just want to do is talk to somebody, don't you, at the end of the day, or all they'll want to do is just send off a message to us rather than talk to the pharmacy or whatever. Yeah. It's just natural, isn't it? Human nature.
So if I log back into my account, I'll just show you how they would submit that request through. So if obviously they have to confirm they're registered with your practice, that obviously if their condition gets worse, seek alternative help. And obviously, as you said, it's not an emergency system, so it is just for non-urgent queries. So again, we pop that up there so they really didn't have to understand.
And so this is the bit where they've then clicked, I would like an online consultation.
So they've logged into their account and requested help from surgery.
Yeah.
So then they're asked what best describes their request. Is it an administrative query or a medical problem? So if it's an administrative query, it says, it just confirms, you know, do not use this for a medical problem, it's for administrative queries only. And then they get to choose either from sick note, letter from a doctor, prescription request, travel information, or they can type in something else. And all these admin ones are free text. So let's say I wanted to write about a sick note, they can just enter their query into the box. So I'll just write a test message there. They can upload any relevant files as well, obviously as long as it follows the guidelines. And then when they continue through, it takes their contact number, press send, and that's gone through to you as a practice. Again, it gives you the message here of how long they'll take to get back to you, to the patient, and they can answer a few quick questions around feedback. So then you've got that feedback as a practice. So I'm going to, not this time, I'm afraid.
No, that's okay.
I'm going to request help from surgery and just show you the medical route. So if it's a medical...
Sorry, just go back to the administrative one. Those options, if you just click, click on administrative. Yeah, those options there, are they, we can pick and choose which ones those are visible?
So you can't change this.
Because like travel information, for example, we have a totally separate system for that.
Right.
We wouldn't want them necessarily doing it through here. Although I guess we could maybe look to moving it over. So what happens when you click on travel information, for example?
So it's just the same. So it's a free text box. So they can type in their query.
Okay. So we don't have any choice over those particular options in that particular menu there.
Not currently.
For example, if we didn't want the travel information one.
Yeah. So currently it is just how it is, but we are looking into that. So if there's anything you ever wanted to improve, obviously we take it on board and we look into how feasible it is.
Okay. Sorry, carry on.
No,
sorry, I keep interrupting, but
no, please ask questions because it's the best, so you know what to get from it. So where it says, would you like help from? That's where I suggested you could put your practices, or you could put your staff members. So
this one is configured. Yeah, this is configured.
Yeah, so you can have this question, or you don't have to have it at all. Some people put, like, for example, their doctors, and if it's a female or male, if people have got preference, so you can add in your staff members if not. And then when they go through, they're asked, is it a new problem? They've been asked to get back in touch, or a problem with an existing condition.
Is that configurable, or is that as it comes?
Just as it is, yeah.
Okay, yep.
And then they type in their problem. So for example, if I had a cough, I can add that as a problem. And you do get the option as well, so they can add multiple problems, or they can just add one. That's again down to the practice. So I'm going to continue through, and it's now just showing me this red flag. So this flag, they're for certain conditions, and you can add in your own flags and alerts as well.
Okay.
But it just tells obviously around coronavirus, and if they need urgent care, go elsewhere basically. Don't use this service. So they have to click they understand to go through. And you see your end that they've seen that flag as well. And then it takes them through, so it's giving them any helpful links. So for example, this one, we've got the NHS link. If it's acne, we've got like Skin Foundation, the NHS links. And again, you can add in your own links if you've got local services. So if I clicked on this as a patient, I can understand that I'm going to go to a new tab. I might get the information I need and not need to submit that request through to the surgery. So when I then go back to my request, it says, do you find this information useful? And do you still need to contact us? So if they click no, you won't see that as a surgery. If I click yes, obviously I can still submit that request if I need to.
I'd like that help. Sorry, I'm pointing at the screen and that's not very helpful. I'd like that helpful links in bigger writing. I'd like them to make it a bit more obvious even that they could, seriously, actually, it'd be really, because I think that could, again, I don't know.
Yeah, I'll feed that back.
Well, you've got it in bold there, haven't you? You might find it useful to take a look at the resources we have found. But yeah, maybe having that a little bit more prominent. It'd be too easy to ignore that. You've got a great big continue banner and then a little small, click on this link sort of thing. Yeah,
I'll definitely feed that back to the developers. So I'm going to continue through, and it now loads the questionnaire. So obviously they're branching questions, so depending on what I pick, depends on what questions I'll answer. So at the moment, this is around coronavirus because I've typed in cough. So I'm just going to select no. If they're unsure of their answer, they can skip questions as well. So I'll just fill in some of these. So we've got some questions to look at. So I'm going to skip that question. I've reached the end of the questionnaire because I've put I didn't have a cough, but I'm submitting for a cough. And they can upload any relevant files. So this is really good for like if they've got a burn or a rash or something like that, they could upload a file, obviously, again, if it follows the guidelines. So you've then actually got that image so you can see it. So I'm going to continue through. I can see that information I'm going to submit, and I can add any additional information. And again, I can send that through and fill in the feedback form. So they're now been sent to the practice. So if I now go in as a practice, obviously you've got to have your System 1 open and logged in, because our system does fully integrate with System 1.
Yeah, so this is where I'm interested in see how it sort of comes in and looks and everything.
Yeah. So obviously make sure I'm connected at the top. And then what I'll do, being a new colleague, I've just got to go cover those groups and potentially colleagues that I need to.
Can I just double check on a slightly technical point? Because we use various bits of software for all sorts of different things, and some of them are reliant on having some sort of connector type software sitting on our gateway PC, and others are just happy just to connect through the back door somehow straight into System 1. Do you happen to know how yours is integrated? Because I can see it says connected, but does that rely on something that we need to make sure that it's constantly running in the background?
I don't think so, but I can ask support that question, because what we do is when we download it, normally I help practices download it for them. You integrate it, so you approve the connection in System 1.
Yeah.
And once you've done that, it remembers that. Obviously, if it then disconnected, you just have to do it again. But that's the only thing I believe we have to do.
Okay.
But I can ask support.
Because I know there's more than one way to get into the back of System 1, and we've got a totally separate medical insurance system, but they have like a bit of software that we have to make sure is running sitting on our gateway PC, and we have to test once a week to make sure it's still connected, and if it isn't, we have to go back onto that PC and re-establish the link manually.
I don't think so with our software, to be honest.
Whereas that Accurate, which we use for texting, it just works. Anybody, once you've signed up for it as an individual, you hit save into record and it just saves straight into System 1, and you've never had to, other than the initial approval way back in the mist of time, that's all you ever had to do.
I believe ours is the same, because as I say, you approve the connection and then you don't have to do anything else.
Okay, that's good.
Just because you've mentioned AccuRx, just want to let you know our software does outbound patient messaging, bulk messaging. We do video consultations, so we do a lot similar to AccuRx, and you could obviously, if you used Engage Consult, you've got all your communication in one spot instead of using different systems.
Okay.
Just so you know.
Yep. No, good to know.
So I'm just going to go cover those groups that I created. So I'll go into my account groups. Let's say I'm part of the administration team, I'll cover the admin group. Click save, and it's as easy as that. I'm now covering that group, and I won't need to do this every time, it will remember, but I can again uncover it any time as well. You can do the same for colleagues. So we've got all requests coming into the practice, so you've got an overview of every single request coming in. Even if they've been assigned to other groups, you'll see where they've gone. And then I've got all those groups I've covered, my own requests and that admin group.
I was going to say, so they would have gone to another group because either automatically your smart software has directed it to that group, or because somebody's gone into this global inbox and manually moved it into another group. Okay.
Yeah. So if I look at those requests that I've got come through, so you can see here we've had a medical request for anyone from Anna Baxter. The problems reported was cough. You can see we've got the secure two-way messaging live, so that means they've got an account, so we can message the patient and they can message us back. But something to note on there, if we message the patient, they can then respond, but they can't respond until that happens. And then they can't bombard you with messages. They have to keep waiting for you to reply before they can respond. But you can bombard them with messages if you want to.
Does that, was this where being a guest came into question as well?
Yeah, so if they're a guest account, you can't do the two-way messaging.
Right.
So I'm going to go into this request and click view. You can see the patient's not yet matching clinical system, so straight away it's trying to link that patient in system 1. Mine's a dodgy one because I'm using a test patient. So you would just be able to click search, but I have to find a random.
No, that's all right. Go for it.
So you wouldn't have to do this part. But it's handy that you can change it, because let's say someone got married or something and didn't update their name or had a double barrel name, you can then obviously come in and edit it. So I'm going to see that record, so check that those details match. And this looks like the right patient, or if it doesn't, you can search for another one. And then obviously, because they've created an account, we've now matched them in the clinical system, we've just got to verify that it is definitely them before we send any sort of sensitive information out. So you just click on verify patient. You can open that patient record on clinical system if you wanted to check any details, and there's certain steps you can take to obviously verify that that is them. So I'm going to confirm that identity. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Lovely. So once they've confirmed, and if they've got an account, I don't need to do that again. So that will remember that for next time they submit a request. So it saves that administration time. So now I'll just go down. You can see everything that's happened with this request. So it logs everything. So you can see that we'd obviously linked and verified them, the message they sent through, if they visited those self-help links, flag they saw, and all those questions they've answered. So you can see what they answered and what they denied, and any skipped questions. And it also tells you, let's say I stopped that questionnaire early, it would tell you that they didn't complete the questionnaire, so you know. But another thing just to notice on here, we do scored scales as well. So if it was the PHQ-9 questionnaire, you'd get the scored scale for that. So if I go back up, I might decide that actually I can't deal with this. It needs to be dealt by the admin team, for example, as I'm covering that group. So I'm going to assign that over to the admin team. So I'm going to go to action, assign to, and then I can select what group or colleague that then goes to with them to deal with it. So I'm going to select admin, assign that over to them, and as you can see, it's now gone in their inbox for them to deal with.
Got it. Yeah.
So let's say I went in there and click that request again. So I might decide actually I need more information from this patient, so I want to send them a message. So I can type in my message for the patient, click send to patient, understand that it's going to go to them. So that will now go into their Engage Consult account for them to read, and that will tell you when it's been read, and they can then respond. So let's say they'd submitted a request for acne but didn't send a photo through, you could ask them to then send a photo, and they can do it on the messaging system.
Will they get a text message?
So they get notified by email.
So there's no text, they won't get a text notification.
No, that is just on email, I believe that one, yeah.
Okay.
But the same was, you might want to add your own notes to this record. So again, you can just type in this box, click add, and that won't go to the patient won't see that, but it's in your notes. So you can do that as well. If you were passing this over to a colleague, you might want to just pop in what you've done with this patient already.
Okay, yeah, I'd like to see how that ends up in System 1 eventually, but I know you'll come to all that, I'm sure.
Yeah, and you can send any attachments as well. So you can upload any attachments and send those across to the patient. So once I've done that and I've dealt with this request and I'm ready to upload this into the clinical system, what I would do is go to Action, Send to Clinical. Here is all free text, so you can choose what you want shown. So basically all our online consultations get SNOMED coded as online consultations uploaded as PDF. But these bits of text, obviously, that will show in the journal. So you may want to put in the detail what you've done with this request. So have you prescribed something? Have you signposted them to go to a pharmacist, for example? How you've dealt with this request, you may want to pop in the detail.
So the actual body of the message that the patient might have sent doesn't get put in the tab journal?
No, so this gets uploaded as a PDF, yeah.
Okay.
So you might want to you can obviously change any of these, so you can then see that in the journal, and then you can send to Clinical and complete, so that patient can't then respond any longer. So we're going to wait for that to upload to System 1.
Okay.
Just take one moment.
That's right.
So you can see it said it's successfully attached to the clinical system. So I'm just going to show you completed so I can open that patient up. So I've got that patient open. I'll go in the new journal and you can see 14th of July, we had that Engage Consult. Let me try and move that. There we go. Medical request. And you can see that text I popped in and it's been uploaded as PDF.
Okay. Yep.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
Perfect. So just so you know, obviously you said about you use AccuRx. Obviously we do offer the outbound patient messaging. So even if patients haven't submitted a request, you can still contact them if they're obviously in System 1. So you can do that by SMS, you can do it as an engaged message, you have different options, and then if it's a bulk message, you can just download a CSV file from System 1 and upload those patients to send them a message. So we've got the outbound messages here. So you'll have a list of all those messages you've sent. So for example, if you've sent it to an individual, it will show you which patient was sent to. But if you've done a bulk message, you can obviously pop in your title. So for example, we've done a flu jab reminder and see which patients that was sent to, and you can send reminders. You can send out questionnaires for them to fill in. So there's all different things you can do with our system.
So have you got like sort of template questionnaires that they can be sent, and or more structured type?
Yeah, so I'll show you some examples. So you can select, so we've got quite a few on here at the moment. So we've got acne questionnaire, asthma review, a care home one. So there's all different ones, and once you then click and send that to them, they'll obviously be sent a link, and then they'll fill in the questionnaire like we did sending that request through. And then you can even assign that patient's response to a certain group or colleague to then deal with it when it comes back in.
Mm-hmm.
So some practices use it. Let's say they were having a patient actually come in for an asthma review. You could actually send them the questionnaire before they come in to save time in the consultation face to face. So there's all different ways you can utilise it. And like I say, with the intelligent routing as well, you've got that option as well. So that just saves you administration time from someone having to be in that main inbox and assign it to the correct people. You can break it down into admin, medical, health data, because they can upload their health data as well if you want them to. And then you can break it down into all those different medical conditions such as cough. And then you can break it down into sick notes, letter from a doctor and things like that. Have you got any questions around that?
So any, you may have already said this and I may have misunderstood it, but any information that comes in from the patient that we want to code, is there a way of directly coding it from your interface straight into System 1, so we don't then have to separately code it in System 1? Or is it kind of all got to be done after it's already all been attached in System 1?
So yeah, because when we upload those online consultations to System 1, they get SNOMED coded as online consultation. so
So
it
it's just
doesn't do
that,
it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Doesn't, yeah. Okay. Okay.
We also do code for when we send outbound messages, so as an SMS or an email.
hmm
And we code the asthma questionnaire, the PHQ-9 and the GAD-7 questionnaire as well, straight into the clinical system. And we're actually working on at the moment coding more questionnaires straight into the clinical system. So if there was any you particularly wanted, let us know and we see what we could do.
Yeah. Okay.
So going back to sort of your requirements, so obviously you can turn it on and off at any point. So there's actually an enabled and disabled button, but also you've got those demand management settings to really personalize it to your practice. You can obviously send the messages to patients. You can do the two-way patient messaging and the outbound patient messaging. We do all the different signposting. So we obviously show them the NHS links. You can change your content as well to local services. And obviously we can help you with your website and how you would actually pop that on and, you know, the best way to get patient engagement. Yeah, is there anything? Obviously we've got the integration with System 1.
Yeah, and you were going to send me a video, weren't you, or something of how it looks in the NHS app, what patients, because I really do feel that that's probably going to be a large proportion of the way patients would engage with this.
Yeah.
So,
and actually that makes it easier for you as well, because when those requests come in, you'll be able to see us from the NHS app. And obviously on the NHS app, they have to do that video to verify themselves. So you've got more confidence that that patient can be verified.
Yeah. I'd say 50% of our patients have already done all of that stuff. So straight away they'd be able to get straight in. But like I say, I'm just kind of keen to see how easy it is or what options there are when they click on the consultation bit in the app.
Yeah, definitely. And just so you know about like our training structure, so when you come on board with Engage Consult, we take you through the implementation from start to finish and even, you know, train. So we do monthly webinars on different topics on Engage Consult, which staff can join. We do free one-to-one training and group training sessions. So even once you've implemented, you know, any new staff members you take on or anything like that, or a refresher training we can do. Again, normally we'd set up your my.engage.gp first with the practice manager or whoever would be the administrator for it, get that all correct, and then we go into your staff training. So we break it down into basic, intermediate and advanced. So I've just run through the basic there of how to deal with those requests. Intermediate, we'll go into outbound patient messaging, video consultations, and then advanced, we go into intelligent routing. So it helps with product adoption, because if they understand it fully first of how to deal with those requests, it's easier to then take on all the other aspects they can do with Engage Consult. But obviously we take you through the whole way and we'll support you through it.
Great. Well, I'm bound to have overlooked some questions that my colleagues would probably like me to ask. I'm saying that for the purposes of this recording when they come to watch it. So apologies for that, Dr. Rhodes. Yeah, I can't think of anything off the top of my head. As a non-clinician, it's going to be difficult for me to sort of ask those sorts of questions. So I will get back to you, hopefully, if anything does crop up, if we do replay. Are you able to send me this recording somehow?
Yeah, I'll send you the recording over.
Private link on YouTube or something, or send the recording over or whatever. That'd be great, because I think others might want to see it.
Yeah.
And as I say, we're looking at a couple of others. We've yet to find out about funding and things like that, because we will be dependent on the CCG or ICB or whatever, ICS, whatever they're called now.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Yeah.
It's always changing.
Sorry, you're waiting confirmation on that would be next week?
Well, no. So the person who is our contact at the CCG as it was is away for a week, and then she said, "I'm away for a week, and then I'm hoping to hear shortly after that."
No problem.
About.
What I can do as soon as possible is get you the quote over, and then if you do have any questions in the interim, by all means, give me or Anna a shout, and we can obviously answer all them. You did say it was 15,400 patients. Yeah, no problem. So I'll get the quote over to you today, and then just let us know once you spoke to the CCG what the outcome was on the funding, and we can go from there.
Yeah, because it'll stand or fall by any others that we look at, but then ultimately, if we're going to get funding, if we're ultimately told, well, in theory you have a choice, but I'm sorry, it's PKB all the way, then
yeah, No,
you know,
understood.
it'll be what it'll be, unfortunately.
Okay.
But we wanted to look around, and we did want to sort of see what other people had to option. And we were told that we had, I think, up to 4 people, different companies that we could look at. So yeah, hopefully, fingers crossed, we can at least consider it.
Yes, certainly.
So no, that's brilliant. Thank you ever so much for the demo. That's been really helpful. And yeah, if you want to send that across to me, those various things, and hopefully I'll be able to get back to you in due course. And if I have any questions, I will get straight back in touch with you, if that's all right.
Please do, of course.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Thank you very
Lovely.
much.
Thanks a lot. Cheers.
Cheers.
Nice to meet you.
You too.
Bye.
See ya. Bye.